Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the LEGO Train Container Terminal. This episode will have a lower grade of editing since I didn't have enough time, but I wanted to upload a video anyway, so sorry for that. There are some problems on the way. I can warn you about that. So, so let's just get started and you'll see what I'm talking about. You'll see that the crane is going to the right to the initial position, and after that the arm is going away from us also to the initial position. Then the train is started, and when it reaches the terminal it is stopped, and the crane is moving to the left until it finds the magnet on the first wagon that you've seen in the previous episode. After that you'll see that the arm of the crane is moving towards us until it's above the train, and then it gets interesting because then the crane is ordered to go to the left to the second wagon, and let's see what happens. So far so good. Now the arm is moving. Alright. And there you go. That is the problem. So when I tested the crane when it was still on my desk, I always had the arm above the driving wheel. Now it's on the other side of the crane, and that's why I don't have enough weight on the driving wheel. So this is a big problem. If you are following this series for a while, then you've already seen that I tried to use two motors on under each leg one motor, and that would solve this problem definitely. But I had problems with the software. I couldn't get the motors run at the same time. One motor would go wild, I don't know why sometimes, and other strange things were happening. I'm a bit in a doubt now what I should do. There's obviously only one right solution, and that is installing a second motor, but I don't know if I get that fixed. So another possibility is adding a counterweight on the crane on the far side from here, and that would solve the problem as well. So I'm gonna try that first. If it's only a matter of a few, I don't know, blocks, then it's just fine. But if you look at the arm, you see a red piece in the yellow, and that red piece those are two weights that normally are used in the 12-volt trains. So I installed them there because on the other side the motor is hanging over a bit, so I needed a counterweight there as well. But of course this counterweight is on the far side, so it gives a bit of a negative force on this side. So I'm gonna try to install some counterweights, but if it gets too much, then I need to figure something out and build in a second motor or so. So I installed a few counterweights that you see there on top of the motor, and see if that works out. Of course the crane has become a bit heavier because of this, but I don't foresee a problem for that. I'm gonna reset the controller and let's see what happens. So the arm is now initializing, and the crane itself. It works better, but you heard a small tick that it was skipping a teeth. So one teeth is no problem, but if this happens a lot, I don't know about this. And next to that, you can also see that the crane isn't very stable. You can see it can move a lot, and I don't know. I guess we'll just have to install a second motor under the second pillar and try to make them work. What I didn't succeed last time, so I guess we're back to square one about this. So we tackled the train stopping problem, but now I run into this problem, and well, welcome to my life, I guess. I'm gonna dive into the motor control software, see if I can find a problem, one motor going AWire when they're running together, and let's see if I can fix this. So I installed the second motor and I've done the first test run, and now I remember why I was having problems. Not only because the motor went haywire, but also because of another problem, and that is difference in running speed. So basically it's the same as the difference in running speed of trains, but now with these motors. But I can control them by percentage. First I'm going to show you the problem, and then we're going to evaluate if we can think of a solution. So the problem is most visible when the crane is initializing, and that's the movement after this one. And you'll see that one side of the crane arrives earlier than the other one. That's what you see now. You see that the crane is not straight on the tracks anymore, and that's what happens. Now I have to say that these movements are going pretty well, but it's the initializing movement that is a problem. I don't know if it's visible. You can see that the crane is not perpendicular to the tracks. It is a bit off, which gives also an offset, of course, but next to that it gives friction in the drivetrain. So let's just leave it like that, and let's do the initializing once more and see what happens. Let's see if the problem becomes bigger. So initializing the arm first. And you see that the side on our side is moving faster. And that's why you get this ticking sound. Now let's look once more. Because there's a reset every time, the offset doesn't become bigger, of course. But I don't like the ticking sound, so I need to find a way around that. I think the only way for that is maybe to decrease the speed a bit, and by doing so you actually make the motor stall instead of ticking by lifting up the crane. Let's try that. Oh, maybe if I add some weights, that could be an option as well. Make one motor run less fast than the other one. I only have to do this in initializing phase, I believe, because when the crane's running 100%, there's no problem. So the problem occurs, I'm just thinking loud out now, that when the problem only occurs when the crane is not moving at full speed. Then you get a difference in the running speed of the motors. So what I did now, I ordered the second motor, the motor on our side that was moving too fast, to run 5% slower in the initializing phase. And that starts now. Why, that's too slow. You can see him drag. Okay. Okay. Let's put it on 2% slower then. It's now 2% slower. Look at that, look at that. I'm just gonna cut the power. It did well for most of the ride, and the motor on our side ran faster. Let's see if we can repeat that. I'm curious if the same thing happens again. You see? Oh, now it's the other way around. That's odd. I'm thinking. Let's reset it. Let's see what it does. It's hobbling, wobbling. It's not going well. Alright, I'm back. Probably I got this working now. The problem is that when these two motors on the crane move in parallel and they don't run 100%, there is some offset between the speeds. I don't know why. It's control software. I can't do anything about it. So that means that I have to run the crane during the initializing phase at 100% of speed. But I always ran it at 40%, and the reason I did that was because I wanted to make it stop against the walls that you see there. And when it hit the walls, it actually detected that the motor is stalled, and by detecting that, you stop the motor and you know it's reset. And I did that so that your starting point is always the same. Now it turns out that I've actually installed a sensor that you see there, which detects the crane coming. And when the crane is almost at its stop, it is detected by the sensor, and then the sensor tells the system that the crane has arrived, and the system kills the motors. And then you have like 1 stat difference between the actual stopping point and the real stopping point, but it isn't a problem as long as this initialization point is the same. And I've positioned the sensor in a way that once the sensor detects the crane's almost at the wall and it needs to be stopped immediately, and it does so. And it works actually pretty fine, and I don't see any offset. Maybe like, I don't know, a quarter of a stud or so. So the test that we're going to do now is making the crane initialize, and then the crane is going to stop at every container. And I've programmed it now that it needs to stop in the middle of the container, and that's something I still need to test. So I think I'm going to pull down the arm so we can actually have a better look where the grabber itself is stopping. That's nice. That's nice. Oop. So, let me just kill the compressor. There was some going on here. You see the crane is a bit too far. That's no problem. But I wonder where the slipping gears are coming from. I see also that it's not very straight anymore. The problem is that, yeah, you can see, you can see it on the screen as well. On our side of the crane there are 5 studs left, and on the other side of the crane are 7 studs left. So it somehow got a bit of off position, and this is exactly why. This is exactly why I don't want to make the reach of the crane any bigger than it is. Because right now it's already having an offset of 2 studs. It doesn't really matter, and maybe that is also the reason why it is not perfectly centered on the container. That's also about 2 studs. So I think we have to run this test once more and see if we can reproduce the same results. I don't have to enable the compressor right now because there's enough pressure inside. I don't know, my tripod isn't cooperating very well. That looks a bit promising, not completely. Oh dear. Well, it sort of repaired its own error. You saw that there was a difference in the first container, and that's why it wasn't completely centered at the container. And then it sort of repaired itself, and now it's going well. So now it's perfectly centered in the on the last container. So let's run more tests. Let's see. Yeah, that's nice. Seems to be working pretty well this time. Just one glitch and that's it. Well, I can live with this, I believe. We'll just have to see how it performs when it's actually moving containers. So that's the next step. So I've now rewired the additional motor, and it no longer has a cable of 2 meters that goes directly to the left, but it now nicely goes to the end of the crane, where it's connected with the other wires and air tube, and then it's exiting the crane. But I run into a problem, and I don't know if this is a case of a cable that is too long or something else. So I'm gonna show it to you. What you'll see happening is that when I press the reset button, you'll see that the crane will initialize. No problems there. Then it moves to the first position above the first container. That's no problem as well. And then the arm starts moving towards the container. And at the beginning of the movement of the arm, the other motors that move the crane itself, they make also a movement or some kind. And I don't know, sometimes it's creating a big offset and sometimes just a small one. But just let's have a look. Because I'm not totally sure what to do with it. This is the initialization part. This all goes well. Now watch. You see? Did you see what it just did? And now you got the offset. And I don't know why. But it is since I've replaced the cable. So let's have another look. That's perfectly fine. Let's watch that one more time. Now this is also a problem. But yeah, I can. You see? Why does it do that? I don't know. I seriously have no idea. The problem that you just saw was when initializing the arm of the crane, it should go in that direction. Instead, it went to that direction, all the way to the front of the crane. And by doing so, the motor gets stalled as well, and the program thinks, okay, I'm at the end. And you know, next time the crane wants to move to, next time the arm wants to move to the correct position, it's already beyond that position, and you get things like this. And also this, I don't know why it does that. Sometimes it does that, and I don't know why. There's nothing wrong in the software, because sometimes it works just fine, and sometimes it just doesn't. And the only thing I can think of is long cables. But I don't know if that's the case or not. I think I'll just have to rebuild the control for the crane, make the wires short, and see if the problem persists or not. So that's my next thing that I'm gonna do. So I made a quick and dirty fix by putting the control rig on the crane. And while I was doing that, I was like, this is also the answer for the long cable question. Because if I put the whole system on the crane itself, I don't need any long cables, of course. So why didn't I think of that before? Why could I only think about this when I ran into problems about long cables not working fine, blah blah blah. So of course this is not a nice way, like I did it now. I could stack the printed circuit boards one to another, and then it fits just nicely in one pillar of the crane. So that's something I could do, and for now I've done it like this. It's just a test. I'm a bit worried that, I don't know, maybe it will work, maybe not. That's something we're gonna test now. So I've disabled the motor that runs the arm back and forth, so we can test a bit easier. Let me just, 1 minute. I'm a guy, I can't do two things at the same time. Alright, here we are. I disabled the motor of the crane arm. We don't need that right now. I just placed them in the most difficult position. Initializing. well. This works fine. Oh. It seems to be working just fine. Let me fix that wire. Let's reset it and let's have another look. I'm not convinced yet. Like I said, I disabled the motor of the arm. Oh, you see now it's going... It's not going straight. Again, it's not going straight. So one thing's for sure, and that is short cables have reduced the problem that we had when the arm motor was enabled. And it seems to be working just fine now. And honestly, I can't really believe it, so I'll just keep on testing. Yeah, there we go. That's what I want to see. Did you see that? So I tested it like 5 or 6 times. 2 times at the second container the motors didn't stop at the same place, and that's not acceptable. Maybe I'm trying to make it perfectly work, but I think 1/3 of the times it going wrong is not good enough. It's just, no, it's not acceptable. I want to make a system that runs really smoothly, and when I shoot a video of it, that people actually can see that it works, and it works smoothly, and you know, long shots, seeing that the whole system works. And that's my goal. And that's not the case, unfortunately. So I promised moving containers in this episode, and unfortunately I could not deliver. I'm sorry. I guess we're back at episode 5, where I was struggling with the crane design and stuff like that. I thought I had figured it out, but apparently I haven't. So what's next? Well, this is a problem, because this involves the whole crane design, and this is a major setback. And the motor's not stopping at the same time. I've also looked into the motor control software of the Shield, and I couldn't find anything wrong with it. So that basically leaves 2 options left. One is that I'm keeping the EV3 motors, but I can't apparently use them together. So that means that I have to drive the crane with only one motor. In this case, that's a problem, because if I have a motor on one side, then I need to make a drive axle that goes up a bit, goes to the other side of the crane and goes down again to drive a gear over there. That doesn't work, because you have like 1, 2, 3, 4 gears in between. The gears have mechanical play, so the crane won't move perpendicular on the track, and it will go a bit sideways, because both sides aren't powered evenly. Another idea is to put the motor on the middle of the crane in the center, and then 2 axles down and 2 axles to the sides and down to the gears on the track. But I don't see that happening either, because no, I just don't see that happening. Also, too much gear combinations, too much mechanical play. So if I want to stick to the EV3 motors, I need to build another crane design. And then we're getting to the point of the crane design that I had actually planned to use for the 3rd crane. That is the crane where the mono trains will go to and come from. And that's going to be a bit slighter, bigger crane. So what I had in mind for that crane is actually a whole frame on a certain height, and 2 moving axles, like the drawing machine. It was like the first technical control center. You had this drawing machine, and it has also 2 axles to move it like this and move it like that. So that means you don't move the whole crane anymore, but just the upper bit. That could be a very good solution, but it'll cost more Lego parts for sure, because I need to build a whole frame. So that's something to keep in mind. The other solution is actually, just get rid of the EV3 motors for moving the crane and putting magnets on everything. So put a magnet on every wagon. So when you power the crane with normal motors, you put a reed sensor like we have now, and you just move until you find the next wagon, and do it like that. That's also a possibility. But that means also that I need to put magnets on the monorail, because also there you need to find the right position. It's doable, but it's also it has some practical problems. So in the end, right now, I'm like 60-40 in favor for the first solution. I think it's nicer to have it like that than the first solution. Why can I use one motor there? Because you don't move the whole crane, but just the upper part. So then it's no problem to distribute the power on an axle to both sides. So 60% in favor right now for the first solution, because I don't want to stick magnets everywhere. It is a good solution. It would probably work, but I'm trying to stick a bit with the EV3 motors, unless you have very good reasons why I should not do that. A very good reason is that I don't have to use as much Lego, because I don't have to build the whole frame. Yeah, that's actually a very good reason. But on the other hand, building a huge frame like that is also cool. It looks cool, so why not? So I'm really in a doubt about this one. So please let me know what you think. And like I said, 60-40 right now. We can make it 60-40 the other way around, maybe. I don't know. Please share your thoughts on this problem, because driving it with two EV3 motors like we do now doesn't work. I actually found that already out in, I don't know, episode 5 it was, I believe. But I still wanted to test it another time, and again the same problem. So this won't work, unfortunately. That's about it, I believe. So sorry, no moving containers. We're back to square one for now, but we're making progress in the end. And that's the most important thing. That's it. I'll stop talking for now. Thank you for watching. I'm sorry again for the little bit low grade of editing this time, as far as I have a high grade editing feature on this channel, but that aside, because I just don't have a lot of time this week. So, but I wanted to upload a video anyway. I hope to see you next time. Check out my social media channels. On the link is in the description. Subscribe and like and share whatever you need to do, and think about the problem that I have, and please advise me on the solution. Maybe there's a third solution that I haven't thought about. I'm open to anything except anti-gravity devices or stuff like that, because I don't know. Alright, thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye!